Check, 1, 2, 1, 2, check, check. Can you hear me in the back? Just raise a hand, left hand, right hand. Touch your nose, do the hokey pokey. All right, hi everybody, my name is Michael Koehler. I'm the filmmaker and director of this film. It is a privilege and an honor to show this at Hal Happening. I have a little bit of history here, just being one of those, street guys that came in with Marky Ianello, Sharon Neeps. I'd rather do this than any cinema in New York City. Sorry, but this is where it's at. I want to thank Jane for doing all you do for art. I want to thank Aldo and Doug for being so hospitable on emails and dealing with my craziness, which isn't that much anymore. But just a brief history before we get started. I worked on this film since 2017. I inched my way through it. I did it ass backwards, meaning I'm a still photographer doing my first feature film, it turns out to be. And I went out and filmed it, calling it a no-budget film, There's no such thing as a no-budget film, I found out, Editors need money, and they need money up front. So it was a long journey. I want to let you realize that all of the old footage was, I would call it donated. I asked permission. I found him on Facebook or whatever. I found Gene on Facebook. Now we have a history, and we knew the history. You helped out with the film with the history of Provincetown. But everything was donated. It wasn't, I need this or that. And when I did hit those hurdles, I just went another direction. This film was organically grown and made. I just had the wheel and directed it. So we have a panel up here afterwards. Lola Flash, Gene, Guillermo, and myself. Bring some questions, bring back some memories, whatever you want to shout out. The floor is going to be ours and yours. So without further ado, Spiritus, no business like dough business. What are we talking about?
We're talking about Spiritus Pizza and how Spiritus Pizza got to be what it is today, I guess. I came here and I walked around the streets and I noticed there was no pizza place.
All day long, people were walking down the street on acid, tripping.
The customers were really out there. There were a lot of hippies back then.
Just like hippies and gay people and fishermen and everybody was just kind of friendly and cool.
New England is basically known as a kind of puritanical part of the United States with its old pilgrim virtues. And right there in front of Town Hall at 1 o'clock in the morning, gay men would meet.
It was kind of like the Wild West.
John figured out that when the bars closed, there was nothing going on in Provincetown. He was like, I'll stay open till 2 in the morning, I don't care.
Over the years, the activity shifted from in front of Town Hall to Spiritus Pizza.
Spiritus was basically a gay men's hangout at night, late at night. That's what it was.
It was packed.
We had lines, the streets were 2 blocks that way to get in here.
Intense. Hundreds and hundreds of people screaming at you.
We put up with all the assholes because we had to.
The 1980s were a very volatile time in Provincetown.
That's when I started getting pushback.
We were already recoiling from the deaths of our loved ones from the AIDS epidemic.
The whole gay scene in Provincetown started getting pushback.
One of the focal points of the controversy was Spiritus.
There was this societal prejudice that we really resented.
We're all going to the police station.
Everyone that works at Spiritus has a charisma that's unbelievable. You go in there, you feel comfortable, everyone loves you.
Hello, thank you, thank you, thank you. What'd you think? All right, we're gonna do a Q&A. I got t-shirts over there. I got buttons over there. This is an independent film, so if you can give a little bit in the bucket, that's awesome. If you can't, that's okay too. I'll get it, don't worry. If you could give to Hal Happening, there's a box over there at the bar too. Gene, you want to join us? Lola, you want to join us? Guillermo, you want to join us? If I haven't said thank you already for coming, I hope I touched some feelings if you've been there. How many people have been to Spiritus Pizza? All right, cool. How many people have been to the original Spiritus Pizza? All right, there we go, awesome. Okay, cool. So we have a panel, we're ready for Q&A. This is Lola Flash, my sister from another, my brother from another, Guillermo Yingling, and my found friend, Gene Fedorko. Please speak up, but either ask a question or direct it to any of us, and here we go. Anyone?
I thought you were asking questions.
Oh, I could ask the questions too. Guillermo, how was it growing up at Spiritus? Have we touched?
I mean, I answered that in the film, but the fact of the matter is that I think that you don't realize that you grew up in a unique situation until you grow up, right? And kind of everybody grows up in a unique situation. We're not all in the same place doing the same thing. So it's as I became a teenager and then an adult and went to other places that you realize all the things that you learned, and sometimes for the better, all the things that you didn't learn. Like I grew up on Provincetown, but going to Jamaica for a week in the winter. And between those two things, I just never was surprised that people were black or that people were gay. It just didn't really, it never affected me. And then you see these things in the world and you're like, oh shit, that was different, and that's the kind of stuff that I think you get from growing up in P-Town.
Excellent. Lola, can you tell us how you got to Provincetown or found Provincetown?
I thought you'd never ask. First of all, Mike, that was just really amazing. It's my first time seeing the film. I cried, seeing Sharon and Cookie, but the fun parts of it was, so the way I got there was, I think it was 1988 or 87, somewhere around there. I lived in Atlanta, and this lady named Anna, who, she made these like chocolate desserts or something. Anyway, I think she had a crush on me. I was young and cute. And so she said, come up to Provincetown, I'm opening up this restaurant. And I've never been good in the kitchen, but I said, I'll go, and I just kind of played along with it. And as soon as I got there, it was the Painted Lady. It's where, what's there?
Local 186.
Okay, so Local 186 is there now, but it was called the Painted Lady. And I remember that there were because of where Provincetown is, it is very spiritual. And I remember that there was like a ghost in there I saw a couple of times. Anyway, back to the story. So somehow I got fired like the first week I was there, and I met our dear Sharon Nesp, who I think her anniversary of her passing is coming up on Saturday. So Sharon Nesp, I met her, and she was friends with Gus, well, with everybody. And so she got me the job at Spiritus, and I didn't realize then, just like you were saying, I didn't really realize then what an amazing opportunity that was. And I worked there for about 10 summers, and it was just, just like the girls were saying, they, you sort of had to be kind of like, kind of a little bit like an alpha dog in a way. But I can remember back then, I'd say coffee was maybe 75 cents or something like that. And I'd wear a cup on my head with my hair coming out of the cup, and with a straw in it. And all the guys would be like, "Girl, we waited all year to see you." And so they'd say, keep the change. It was like 75-cent coffee, and they just put a $20 bill, And so it was really, and I was thinking about it. Just finish my conversation. It's just, it was like I was saying in the film, there weren't really a lot of black folk around, and I think that the love that I received from everybody, from your dad and from all the girls, the pizza girls, a lot of the pizza girls modeled for me. I think that I didn't even think about it, you know what I mean? It was just like, here I am with this family that loves me and like all these different colorful people. And just one last thing I want to say is, when we would take a break, we'd either like go swimming in the bay across the way, or we'd go and have a drink and then come back to work and put this apron on. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah. I want to mention TT La Madrid was a big factor in this whole thing, and I didn't get to capture her while I was doing all the interviews and stuff like that. But she might be the inventor of the plait and the hair and stuff like that. I'm not taking away from your credit with the cup and straw, which I was attracted to as well back in the day. But you know, I've interviewed people, and they would go into fine detail about TT running the counter and stuff like that, and you know, scantily cladded or have flowers in her ear and stuff like that.
And
so,
that's Guy's mom.
Yeah, that is Guy's mother. Jean, thank you for joining the panel. Can you tell us how you got to Provincetown, or what was the attraction, or were you here in New York, or was it Pennsylvania?
No. I was in the middle of Pennsylvania with my lover at the time, John Crates. He was finishing his education at Penn State, and it was dreary. And the decade was dreary. And it was like the Vietnam War, Mid-America, Richard Nixon, conformity, all this bourgeois kind of fucking prison, you know. It was horrible. And John Crates said, come on, honey, let's go to Provincetown. Maybe we'll live there this summer. So we hitchhiked. Everybody hitchhiked in those years, early 70s. We hitchhiked to Provincetown, and we stayed with David Schoolman, who was kind enough to put us up. And the first night we were there, we went to Piggy's. And I was like, oh, they don't do this in Pennsylvania. Yeah, they don't even fucking dance like this in Pennsylvania. And it immediately struck me that I was in a special place, and I lived in Provincetown year-round through the 70s. I never took it for granted. I knew it was a utopia. And I always say, even now, that Provincetown was a kind of energy and a spirit. It was a movable feast. You could take it with you wherever you go in the world, to India, to New York, to Pittsburgh, wherever the fuck, you know. And that's still true. I mean, look, here we are again. Provincetown is right here, the energy in this room, which is gorgeous, you know. And the other thing about Provincetown is that at some point, like when I was there, of course I appreciated it, and the wildness and the sexual anarchy, the social anarchy, the new social movements that were just breaking, like women's liberation, certainly gay liberation. We had just come through Stonewall and gay liberation, so gay people were just starting to feel their liberation, and we were starting to feel our oaths sexually and socially and all kinds of alleys. And it was glorious. And the farther along I got in life, I look back on that and I'm like, holy fuck. I lived through that. I was lucky enough to be in Provincetown in the 1970s. And I compare it like in a literary way to, it's like being in Paris in the 20s, Berlin in the 30s, Havana in the 50s. I was in Provincetown in the 70s. It was like Haight-Ashbury, and everything was just exploding in the most magnificent kaleidoscope right in front of our eyes while we were there. One more anecdote. My friend Mayo is sitting here. Mayo will not tell you, but he is a Vietnam veteran, and he was front line. And like not some fucking typing pool. I'm talking about front line, you know, got shot at, got almost. But what we would do, there were, of course, no VCRs or anything in the 70s. There were a lot of retro theaters. And we would go see a movie with Joan Crawford or Barbara Stanwyck or whatever, and it was wonderful, you know. And then the next day we would go to one of the many thrift shops in Provincetown with $3 in our pocket. And we would buy this dress and those shoes, and we would go back home and smoke weed and clean the house all day and enact the personality of the movie star that we saw the night before. And it was a private enterprise, a private way of trying on different personalities and persona. And it was not for the public. We just stayed at home and did that. And Mayo had this incredible house robe. Yeah, and it had like this little sash across the waist, and he would just like smoke his weed and get out that dust mop, and he was on a roll. And that vignette so much typifies to me the creativity that we all developed within ourselves in Provincetown. And last point, Provincetown has produced so many brilliant people and so much fine art and literature and poetry and theater. And while I lived there, Motherwell lived there, Peter Manso, Norman Mailer, Bud Hopkins, all of these great artists. But before them had come Tennessee Williams, Lee Krasner, Paul, Lee Krasner's husband. What was his name? Paul. Help me. Jackson Pollock. Yeah, people of that caliber were constantly being flourished and flourishing in Provincetown. And it's a magnificent community. And you know what? I'm going back up there again on Saturday. I go as often as I can. I'm going back up on Saturday, and I'll probably be up there for like a week or 10 days. And it rejuvenates me. It puts my soul back in its context. And especially living in this fucking era of fascism and autocracy. Give me good old Provincetown where we can be, and I learned to be a free thinker there. Yeah.
No doubt. Awesome. Gene, I'll see you up there on Sunday. I will be going up there to charge my batteries too, till Wednesday, photographing.
Oh, maybe I get a ride.
Maybe. We'll talk about that after the open panel. Lola, could you describe Gus for us? Because I think it didn't make it into the film, but you had such a great, description of Gus, who was one of the original owners of the ice cream part of Spiritus Pizza.
Yeah. You guys in the back, I love you, but I'm a little bit of a quiet speaker. So everyone back there, can you?
Can we have
yeah, please? Appreciate it. I'm getting older, it's hard to focus.
Come on, kid.
Right? What'd you say?
Yeah, Gus and, what was his girlfriend at the time? Christine. Yeah. Gus had this really kind of gravelly voice. And I remember when he came to New York, we would always go to these really seedy bars. He smoked like crazy. And you saw he had those crazy little shorts. He used to always wear those tiny, tiny shorts. And he was he was definitely one of those guys that was very sweet, but he didn't come across that. I remember at first I was kind of like, ooh, my boss is really mean. But he had a heart of gold. Yeah, he really did. And I also wanted to mention Arnie Charnick, because Arnie is an amazing artist. And I remember when I first came here, I think I met him in New York first. But and I remember I was just sort of a young artist, and he was like, I never want like my artwork to be in galleries. Like, this is my gallery, because anyone who doesn't know Arnie, he did a lot of murals in the East Village. And so he was like, I don't need a gallery, this is my, And so that made me think, like, I used to think, I have to like get a gallery. So I think he helped me with that. And he also helped me with swimming. Like when I saw him, when I first met him, I think he was probably 35 or 40, but to me he seemed old because I was, I was in my 20s. It's kind of funny to think back on that now that I'm 66 and a half. But I was like, how do you look so great? Because he's always looked so fit. And he said he swam. And from that day on, 40 some years ago, I swim because he kind of encouraged, he told me all about that, yeah. But I mean, there's so many characters and, and like I said, and a lot of, not to brag, but a lot of my artwork that's in museums right now is actually from Provincetown, yeah. And Jean bought one, yeah.
Gene.
Well, I want to say, Provincetown has art and sex and social and fun, lots of fun, and zany, like crazy fun. But it is also one of the most beautiful, geographically beautiful places on this earth. And there are dunes and beach forests and the water and the sea and the light, the quality of the light there. Man, the light changes, I think, 4 times an hour, and it's brilliant. And if you just stand and watch the light change, even during the day or in the evening, and no wonder artists have flocked there since the 1910s, the 1920s. Yeah, it's a gorgeous place on earth.
Max, please. You gotta speak up. You don't have a microphone, I do.
Do you think about making a Spiritus too, or a few untold stories about Spiritus in Provincetown?
Yeah, I know, instigator. No plans as of yet. I'm working on a non-dialogue film short. It's going to be in Provincetown. I'm going to keep and stay in the region of Provincetown with my filmmaking. But it's going to be like an artist's journey through the 24 hours. It's just going to be no dialogue, just sound. So I need a good audio person. I did want to say, it's because of this lady next to me, as well as Arnie Charnick, as well as the gallery at Spiritus Pizza, that I am the person I am today. Watching Lola's hustle, watching Arnie's hustle, it was, you set up on a wall, Spiritus does not collect anything, they don't do anything. There's your space, you make your happening. I mean, I used to throw parties in the back garden. They'd have to cut us down, like, Koehler, man, you're not selling art, you're just partying, but the space is there for you to use, and I needed to make this film, is what I'm kind of trying to say. It had to be told now. And I think it's a feel-good movie for what we're going through right now, worldwide, Guy, I wanted to ask you, through your growing up in Truro, Provincetown, who's your favorite character or more memorable character out of all of them?
I literally can't answer that question. I mean, I was just saying to Leslie before we came here that Lola was my favorite ice cream person.
There it is.
I mean, it probably had something to do with the fact that she would give me quarters for the video game, but also just everybody else over at that counter I could piss off to the point where they would want me to leave, and Lola would always tolerate me. Yeah, see, I was a handsome fella. But thank you. The best, I mean, Mulaney maybe in a weird sort of way. Butch Mulaney, who's in there. He used to take me to the Governor Bradford with him and order a vodka and soda, and he'd say, I get the vodka, he gets the soda, at like this tall, and then he would hide from me on the street on the way back, so I think I lost him. He was quite a character. Gennaro used to sing to me as a baby, go gay gee, go gay gee. It started as like goo goo gaga and transformed into that, and he was, definitely a formative person. Gus was one of the strangest motherfuckers you'd ever meet. He actually liked me, so I did okay by him, but he was mean to some people. Like, I remember people would come in to want to do a show, and he'd be like, this is trash, you can't go on the walls. Like, I let basically everybody do a show there now, and it always looks good. But he was a tough guy.
Any questions from the audience? Anything you want to know? Please.
Yes, I graduated in 1974, and my brother, Eugene, invited me to Provincetown for my graduation. And it was an eye-opener, obviously. And since 1974, I've been going here very often. And John Crates, I lived with him in 1980, Jimmy Wellens, and the third Rob Van Fleet. We all lived together a lot at one point.
Rob Van Fleet, yeah.
And when you say who was, hey, I'm Liam, one of the most, I guess, that you remember most about. I remember John was so close to Jingles. And when your mom started dating John, they were so excited. And then, the whole thing started. But I do remember Rusty. And I thought he was sort of, do you remember Rusty?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
But anyway, it's been quite, it was 1974, I graduated from a Catholic high school, and then since there, here I am with my brother, who has just been so strong in his support for others. So I just...
Hold on, all the way in the back, please. Just speak up. That's you, darling, with the Spiritus t-shirt, all right?
Hello, my name is Nora. My grandpa's Richard Gambarino. He painted the...
Yay! We love Richard. He did the whole mural in the background of all the stuff. And you guys have come into Spiritus. Your whole family was coming in for a while there, yeah.
Yeah, we held a memorial in your backyard like last
Yep.
year. But I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to say, it's very interesting growing up with my dad and my grandpa who grew up at Spiritus, hearing their stories, and then watching this and hearing other people's stories. It's like I'm piecing together what was going on through other people. So I don't know, there's something about archiving I'm very grateful for it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for the acknowledgement. Did you have a question? Please.
I first came to Provincetown in 1990 to street perform as a bride statue. There's a photo of me sitting in the back garden of Spiritus Pizza. And I came through a few years, I would street perform, and then I wouldn't come through, and then I came back through, I think, in 96, and I was doing a new show that I had started, and Provincetown was wonderful, it was really supportive, it helped me to develop as a creative person during the 90s. However, I saw changes start to happen in 2000s, and one of the things that bothered me was I saw that the town seemed to become more conservative and oppressive towards people that were expressing themselves. I haven't been back in a number of years, and I'm just wondering if you feel like the city council and the businesses have become more oppressive, have they lightened up? Do you think that Provincetown will do like sometimes places will do like a full circle, right? People will get priced out and become oppressive and very commercial, and then it'll go full circle and come back to being a more...
I'll take that one if you want.
There you go.
I would say that in the last few years, specifically with the street performing and stuff like that, it's done a full reboot. It's gotten better than it's ever been. There's a couple of bands that have started doing it enough that it's really a thing. There's the spots, they all kind of work it out, and the spots are all taken by relatively good performers. We've been getting some bigger performers who have been on America's Got Talent or stuff who come down, but they only do one day and then they leave. Whereas we have these bands that are playing on the street, the Ugly Vipers in particular, I would say, which is this Will Harrington, kid from Cape Cod. Now he spends his winters in New Orleans playing on the street there, and is good enough that he can play on the street in New Orleans and plays on the street in Provincetown, so that part's gotten better. The conservative thing coming in.
Right, the police were very.
No, the police have also gotten better. I think they, like, in the way that, with the country looking at police the way that, especially people like us who live out there were looking at police, they knew that they had no choice but to dial it back at the very least. I mean, there's still way too many cops for the size of our town. But they don't really bother people most of the time. They don't even come to Bar Rush anymore. They haven't come to Bar Rush in years. Like, the police are a problem for sure in the country and the world. In P-Town, they're relatively harmless, I would say.
I just want to say that in 2016, 2017, it got weird up there.
Yeah.
And I came to I would visit, and the police were walking around with like these, you'd think you were in fucking Iraq or something. The police had these like outfits on, like hazmat suits.
That part's dope.
And then there were these vehicles that looked like you were in the Iraq War, And there was a town manager, one of the selectmen, the police chief was an alcoholic pig, macho son of a bitch, misogynist. Anyway, the good citizens of Provincetown, myself included, we enacted a coup d'etat. And it took a couple of years or a year and a half, but we got rid, very successfully, we got rid of the police chief, the fire chief, the one selectman that was ridiculous, and the town manager, who was like a stone, like a piece of rock. She had no emotions. Sharon, whatever her name was, she was awful. But we got rid of all those people, and there are police there now, but they're just like gentle, and they have good manners. They don't bother anybody. But I want to flash back to the 70s, the police at that time. Gaylords, we used to have sex parties, orgies on the beach at night, all night long. Behind the bas relief, and they'd come and raid us, but it was like, what's the use, they'd shine a few flashlights and people would disperse and then come back 5 minutes later. They were not aggressive or piggish about the way they treated all this wild sex going on at the beach, yeah. And the other thing, I think, there were a lot of dirty cops back in the 70s as well. There were a lot of drugs that came into Provincetown from everywhere. And my boyfriend John and I had this connection for LSD in Cambridge, and it was rumored to come from Timothy Leary / Baba Ram Dass's labs. And we would buy like a whole stack of blotter acid at the end of the season, like 40 hits on a cigarette paper, and take them to Europe and sell them at $5 a hit until the money ran out, several months later. And I like to think that we psychedelicized Europe because there was a huge demand for acid when we got there. There was some acid on the streets in Paris, but it was shitty. Really shitty, the stuff we had was primo, I must say so myself. And one year we went to Paris, another year Berlin, Amsterdam, another year Rome. I think we lit a fire under the soul of Europe, yes.
Nice.
I just wanted to say about your dad, there was a boat, the Humber Jump, one summer that I don't know who owned it or why we got to use it, but we were out on the boat one day and I was on the bow with your dad, and I didn't like straight men. I was frightened of straight men and I wanted to kill them. And I was talking with your dad and I realized that he didn't care. That it wasn't part of anything that was going on. And it was the first time I'd ever met anyone like that. And I can tell you, I can feel what I felt when I realized that on the bow of that boat with your dad that day, that there was a real physical change, and it was amazing. And I was the first ice cream scooper at Spiritus when it was across the street. And with that machine, the espresso machine with the hand pump, holy shit. And we were open late, and they wanted espresso milkshakes, which was a son of a bitch. And anyway, the thing about Provincetown and the thing about Spiritus Pizza is you could go anywhere in the world and you would run into somebody from Provincetown. And that was true. And I moved to San Francisco, there were Provincetown people. I moved to New York, I moved into John and Jean's apartment. And that was the way life was. Once you'd been there for a couple of years, it didn't matter where you went. Someone had a phone number and you had somewhere to go. And Spiritus was important, your dad was important. That was a seminal moment. And Rob Van Fleet was on the boat that day, and I have a picture of myself on that, looking through the windshield of that boat. And yeah, it was really something. And I was hoping your dad would be here tonight so I could say hi.
Yeah, I think he did want to come actually, but we've got lots of end of season stuff going on at home, and he's about to go on a trip, so he didn't really have the time or bandwidth to get here. But he would have liked to.
Yeah, it's a well-traveled culture. Like everybody was always, oh my God, in the 70s, everybody was going to the hippie trail, to Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan to get hashish, and Lebanon, and a couple of my friends from those years are still in jail in Thailand for smuggling, you know. But one time, I was in Cambodia one time, and I hear, Gene, and I was in this like fruit market, like way off the beaten path, you know. And it was a Buster, this guy I knew from Provincetown. They're everywhere, these Provincetown.
Any other questions? I think we're going to wrap it up. I would love to thank Hal Happening for letting me do this. It's really important to the community. And I'm glad to be a part of this community. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Thank you.